So, once upon a time, back when I was about 20, a friend of mine got into some trouble and went to jail. He needed someone to go and stay at his place and take care of his elderly dog and keep his birds fed. I immediately accepted, as I didn't really want to live with my mom and her new, younger boyfriend. Now, here's where I should probably mention that my friend was into some not-so-great stuff. That's how he ended up in jail. So naturally, that meant that some pretty shady characters were going to be around. Those characters usually waited until I went to bed to start coming around and helping themselves to whatever they desired. That was bad enough in its own, but since my friend couldn't pay his electric bill from jail, there were also no lights. Since the bedroom I was staying in had a deadbolt and another lock, I felt okay in there. I of course realized how stupid and naive I was back then. After all, I'm only 5'3", and back then I only weighed about 100 pounds. I guess my desperation for independence drove me to brave it. I would literally wake up the next day to find footprints outside the living room window, and even found the phone line cut once or twice. While all that was going on, my friend's creepy-ass, teeth-missing, pervy landlord started randomly showing up. The landlord only lived about 3 football fields away. Apparently my friend couldn't pay rent from jail either. He also didn't want me to tell his landlord that he was in jail, so I had to keep giving some stupid excuse about him being away at his family's. But that excuse only went so far. Probably knowing full well that it was bullshit, the landlord started showing up even more. When he did, he started saying nasty things like, "My wife and I sure would be excited to have you over, especially in a bikini." Soon enough, though, the landlord started getting angrier and more frustrated. Each and every time he would show up, he would just show up at any given time, and since I didn't drive at the time, I was usually there for these unfortunate visits. Eventually, he just started straight up walking in, not even bothering to knock anymore. I told him that was illegal, but he didn't seem to care. Remember earlier in the story, I mentioned that I slept with a locked door? Well, unfortunately on that particular morning, I had already gotten up and made a trip to the kitchen for some water after the sun had already come up. Because of the daylight, I didn't bother locking the bedroom again. I just closed it. Not long after that, I had fallen back asleep. A strange, slight noise woke me up. It was a sort of soft clicking sound. I gradually opened my eyes, but I didn't see anything, so I tried to go back to sleep. But then, I suddenly started back awake, as I could just feel another presence in the room with me. As I slowly focused my eyes on the light, I saw the old landlord standing over me, mouth breathing with a creepy grin on his sinister face. I instantly bolted upright, whilst grabbing the bed sheets and pulling them over my body. Then I went from 0 to 60 in less than a second. I jumped up and started yelling about, "What the hell are you doing here? What do you think you're doing right now?" All the while, I continued walking towards him angrily. He backed away, practically running out the door. I locked it behind him and screamed, "I'm calling the cops." The cops came, but since I had no proof and he hadn't hurt me, they really couldn't do much. To this day, though, I'll never forget the sound of that old man mouth breathing as he leaned over my sleeping, unsuspecting body. Good evening, everyone. It's me, Dr. Plague. Thanks so much for joining me for tonight's story. I know, you guys don't really like the short ones, but I don't know, I really liked this one. I'm definitely a lover of that too true to be fake kind of horror, and this just has that ring of believability. Don't worry though, because Wednesday's story will definitely be a long one, and one that I'm pretty sure that you're going to like. So, before we sign off, let's go ahead and thank our sponsors. Thanks to Leslie Lou Riddle and Janet for being our Spooky Skeleton tier contributors. Thanks to Xaronana for being our Ghostly Reader contributor. And thanks to Glen Jenkins for being our Ghost Rider tier contributor. Thanks everybody. Your patronage is always appreciated. This is about the second week in a row that my patrons have enjoyed having their videos a day early, so why don't you come on down and experience it yourself? For just $5 a month, you too can be one of my Spooky Skeleton tier contributors, and have your name read out at the end of every TikTok and every YouTube video that I do. You also get your videos on a Tuesday or a Thursday, so that's always kind of nice, getting your spooky a day early. I'm diligently working on proofreading the new book for July, so why not go ahead and get caught up and get yourself a book on Amazon? I highly recommend Dark Journeys, which is my latest compilation. That's 30 tales priced to move, and if you'd prefer one with a signature, get in touch with me. I'd be happy to sign one for you and send it your way. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.